to Lorville Stories, presented by your host, Jack Long.
Welcome back to Lorville Stories. I hope you really enjoyed the first episode we released last week. I read all your messages and comments, and I'm feeling confident that we can continue this journey into the world of Star Citizen. So let's dive into what's happening right now. We have the free 42 free PTO live on the server, open for all backers across all waves. This is basically the IAE patch. If you're not familiar, that's the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. I hope I did say that right, which is happening again this year in 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Yep, again in 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. It starts on November the 22nd and runs until December the 5th. This patch, the free 24 free, is essentially the preparation for the IAE. We also know that some new vehicles will be released during IAE. The 𝗔𝗏 Fortune is one that everyone is eagerly waiting for, along with the Starlancer Max, a ship that was recently announced during CitizenCon. And then there is the Crusader Intrepid. I say it always wrong. It's the Crusader Intrepid. Oh my god, a new starter ship. So those ships are coming, and maybe there will be some more surprises. Of course, the biggest event will be when Robert Space Industries is on the show floor during the expo. The Polaris will be available to everyone who owns it or plans to purchase it. It's finally going to be flyable in-game. And what an event that's going to be. There's a lot of excitement in the community about this ship. We still don't know much about how the ship will handle, as no one has flown it yet. There's a big debate about whether you can actually fly the Polaris solo. At least for now. I think you can, but you won't be able to control all weapons on the ship. If you get into a fight with the Polaris, you better have a crew, right? Star Citizen and Cloud Imperium Games have announced AI blades for the future, we talked about last week, but I think that's at least 2 years away. These AI blades could help manage a ship like the Polaris by installing them instead of working with a crew, which is a lot of fun, by the way. I highly recommend it. I'm trying to get a crew together myself since I am a Polaris owner. I'm hoping the ship will be released in the PTU soon. They've announced that it will be tested in the PTU, so I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully some of you will be willing to hop on board and help me out, as managing and testing all the features of the ship will be quite a task. The patch in the PTU also includes a new dynamic mission called Save Stanton. It's a very interesting mission, but unfortunately people are reporting issues based on server performance. It's not going well unless you are on a better server with a higher frame rate. This has nothing to do with your GPU, it's all about server performance. If it's lower than, say, 10 FPS, you might run into issues. The NPCs you have to fight won't be as intelligent, which isn't much fun. On the flip side, if the server FPS is low, it's easier to fight the NPCs, but many missions might break due to server performance. For example, you might have to deliver certain cargo containers. We all know this problem, but the system might not recognize them. That happened to me once when I was close to finishing a mission and the server just froze. It said server recovery, but it never recovered, leaving me stuck on an endless waiting screen. So what's more about the IAE? Well, there will be a lot of ships released during the expo, including the Starlancer. It's a new line from 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the manufacturer. I'm not really a fan of CIG developing a new ship line when we already have similar ships in concept or available in-game, especially when we don't have all the game loops yet. Yes, we have cargo missions, but we also have a lot of cargo ships. In my honest opinion, instead of releasing this new ship, they could just have funneled resources into the RSI Arrestra, for example. Why? Well, the Arrestra is a ship we voted 3 years ago. And it was announced 2 years ago. We voted for RSI as the manufacturer for the next mining ship. And the Arrestra was announced as a concept with mining and refining capabilities. We were all excited about it. We already have refining in the game, just not in ships. I would love to see the Arrestra in the game now, rather than a new line of ships. And then there was the drama with the Galaxy. Oh my gosh. I won't get into that. But that ship was supposed to have a module for base building in the future. Now they've announced the 𝗙𝗵𝗃𝗃 build, which will also have drones for base building. I think they could have focused on the already announced concept ships and brought those to life. People are really waiting for them. It's surprising to see a completely new line of ships. Cloud Imperium Games, you've got to sell the old concept ships the same way you are selling this 𝗙𝗵𝗃𝗃. If you were to release the Polaris, the RSI Restra and maybe even the Galaxy, you'd sell them quickly. People are waiting for the ships to be in their hangars, which would motivate them to play the game and try new game loops. Finally, having refining in your ship would be amazing. More people would play the game and new players might even pledge for these ships. And just a reminder, you don't have to buy ships with real money. You can purchase most ships in the game using 𝗙𝗵𝗃𝗃 at dealerships. I did that earlier this year after receiving a big donation, which was great, and thank you to whoever did that. And I bought several important ships in game with that money pledged for yet. It's a great way to get ships, and they've remained in my hangar through many patches without being wiped, along with items in my inventory like weapons, clothing and food. Now let's talk about 4.0. I'm pretty sure it's coming out this year and it's already being tested by the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, a special group of players who usually play under NDA. Sometimes the NDAs are lifted, allowing them to stream live or share screenshots. When 4.0 comes out, I think they will wipe the inventory, including everything found or looted in-game. However, they can only do that until 1.0 is released. Once 1.0 is out, there will be no more wipes. But that's still at least 2 years away. Alright, so what's on our agenda for today? In the last episode we talked about base building, which was announced during CitizenCon. I want to continue our journey from there and dive into the topic of space stations. It's a big subject and many people think this feature is only for organizations. But let's explore this topic together and see what we discover. And after that, I have a little surprise for you. I talked to one of the most influential people in Star Citizen, so stay tuned for more. 𝗙𝗏𝗃 has been talking a lot about org system-wide activities internally, and they want to give us the ultimate end goal, something that needs protection: player space stations. We can finally build our home among the stars. Well, or whenever 1.0 comes out. Alright, let's talk about what they unveiled at CitizenCon. Well, they took us back to Pyro 3, where we've already seen smaller base setups. Remember the guy with the name Luke building that small habitat? Then DEC came in and expanded it, giving us this commercial hub vibe. But by the end of the presentation, they scaled it up to show what a huge org base could look like. It felt like a build-up, almost as if they were teasing us towards something bigger. Something that was the ultimate goal. And let me tell you, it was worth the wait. Then they hit us with this visual, "Look up the sky," they said. And here it was, player-built space stations. Wow. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. Well, finally, they are giving us the chance to stake our claim in space. This isn't just another base on the ground, it's an entire station up there, orbiting among the stars. And they call it the ultimate end goal. You could feel the excitement building in the room. This wasn't just any announcement, it was the kind of thing that makes you start mentally planning every single move for when this is live. But they didn't stop at announcing it. They really dove into what it takes to make this happen. It's not just like dropping down a building prefab. To get a space station up, you need a Pioneer. That's the only ship that can construct the initial supply bay, which is where it all begins. This setup isn't small scale. It's going to demand tons of resources and a hefty time commitment. For people like us, this isn't daunting. Is what we are here for. The effort, the logistics, the teamwork, it's the type of project that brings an org together on every level. Now here's the part that really got to me. Once you start feeding resources into that supply bay, it begins constructing with automated drones, multiple drones, all working together to build this massive structure. They mentioned the station core, this huge initial module that already has basic functions built in. Just imagine standing on the bridge, your command deck, overseeing this massive build. It's got everything: status monitoring, power and water management, cooling systems, and even permissions to control access. You can set it to be exclusive to org members or open it up to the public. There's even radar for monitoring space around your station. Well, then they dropped us back into the game and we got to walk through the bridge. Just picture this, walking through the command center, knowing everything from here is under your control. Resources, security, logistics. I mean, it was inspirational. They are giving us more than just a new space. They are giving us the ability to create, control, and protect something monumental in the universe. I think what got to me the most was the scale of it all. The possibilities for expansion, the modularity, the chance to really put our own stamp on it. It's beyond what I could have imagined. They've built it so that every single player, even the newest member, can play part in something that big. This is more than just a base, it's a space-faring legacy. And just when I thought it couldn't get better, they showed us the rest of the station. So right behind the bridge is this central transit network, which they call the spine. This thing actually connects the whole station and takes you to different decks. It's like the lifeline of the whole base. Each level even has its own lobby. And here's the kicker. You get to customize it. You are free to decorate, theme, and make this place your own. Every inch is true to scale, inside and out. No sneaky magic elevators that warp you across the map. Every corridor, every turn, you are really there, moving through your station. Then they showed us the engineering deck, down at the bottom. Imagine it as the core of the whole operation. Like in bigger ships, this is where the magic happens. You'll be able to dive into engineering gameplay, managing repairs, power, all the vital functions that keep your station running. And just above that, the hangar deck. We are not talking about a small add-on here. This hangar is massive, coming pre-built with a large bay and docking collars. Plus, there is space for 2 more medium hangars when you're ready to expand. They even designed it with internal roadways so you can drive between hangars. No elevators, no loading screens, just a full speed drive. Then we got a glimpse of the observation deck, which sits up top. This is where you control everything happening on the hangar floor. You've got master control over the freight and vehicle elevators, which means before anyone's even landed, you can have cargo loaded up and ready to go. And this is just what comes with the base station. There's so much room for expansion. Now about that expansion. The whole layout of the station is built with flexibility in mind. You've got corridors and roads everywhere, and at key points, they are bulkheaded connectors. These connectors are your gateway to building more rooms, and they come in different sizes based on the type of room you want to create. They've made it so you can really go wild with customization. Build generic rooms that you can fill with your own items or opt for specialized rooms like mess halls, infirmaries, generator rooms, you name it. And shops. You can create these full-scale shops, way bigger than anything we've seen in those ground bases. What's great is that every expansion, every addition is real. It takes resources, it takes time, and when it's done, it's part of the minimap. It's your station, inside and out, and every bit of it reflects the work you put in and the resources you gathered. There's a real sense of ownership here. You're not just managing some screens and menus, you're building a place that your org can call home in every way. Now let's talk about the exterior of the station, the part that really shows off its personality and power. First, we have these minor hardpoints. They are dotted along the upper and lower surfaces of the station, and here's where things get really interesting. Using build mode, you can outfit your station with modules that make it specialized for whatever direction you want to take. Some modules let you gather resources like gas harvesters, while others turn your station into a fortress with shields and turrets. This ties back to power management from the bridge. Sometimes you need to prioritize where that power goes, especially if you are under attack or need to ramp up production. Then we've got the major hardpoints. These are the game changers. The core station starts with 2 connectors for major wings, and each one serves a purpose that can completely redefine what your station is all about. They showcase the cargo wing first, which boosts your inventory capacity on a whole new level. For orcs focusing on hauling, this is a dream come true. Then there is the refinery wing. Imagine being able to refine resources right there in space, rather than making multiple trips to ground facilities. You could buy resources, refine them, and sell directly from your station. It's a full supply chain in orbit. And finally, the hangar wing. For any orc with a big fleet, this is where you want to add space. You can mix and match hangar sizes, dock colors, and make sure your fleet is organized and ready for action at any moment. The coolest part, all these major wings connect via struts, and they are fully traversable. So your entire station becomes this interconnected web of functionality and customization that you can physically move through. Just to recap, the minor hardpoints give you options for resource collection and automated defense, while the major hardpoints let you specialize your station into a powerhouse for hauling, refining, or fleet management. It's this combination that makes each station feel unique to its owner and orc. And customization doesn't stop there. Just like with ground bases, you'll be able to earn tins and apply decals to make the station truly yours. They even talked about 2 special expansion points that stand out. Behind the bridge on the top side is a unique module called the Crow's Nest. Now this one is less about functionality and more about giving your orc members a personal space with a view. A little haven for those who want their own corner of the stars. Seeing all of this in action, from minor customizations to sprawling expansion wings, made me realize the potential for creating a home in the stars. It's about ownership, about showing off who we are as an orc, and about building something meaningful that reflects our goals and identity in the vast universe. This isn't just a base, it's our legacy, piece by piece, fully customizable and ready for whatever we want to make of it. Alright, so here's the part where things really got exciting. Picture this. You're flying around the verse, dropping in on friends to see how they've decked out their stations. They made it clear, they want us to make these spaces our own, and they are dying to see what we come up with. Then they showed us the underside, the flight deck. This is the launch pad for quick response defenses. It has 3 additional major hardpoints, perfect for outfitting a rapid reaction force. The deck can house fighter squads and other ships you want at the ready for defense. And it even has an observation deck where your team can control freight elevators, so rearming and refueling can happen at warp speed. An organized crew can turn this deck into a finely tuned defense machine, which to me is just brilliant. Now this part blew me away. There was this subtle warning woven in. In a lawless system, a station like this is a major target. Everyone will know it's packed with valuable resources and gear. So if your orc didn't manage to secure a spot in the system peacefully, you are bound to attract attention. They laid it out. Attackers will aim to break through your defenses, get inside and make off with the loot. It's not just about blasting the walls. They are tough enough to withstand direct hits. The real strategy? Infiltration. raiders will come for your flight deck or slip in through EVA hatches, clearing hangars as they move in, possibly even bringing in tanks to dominate the halls. To counter that, they introduce defensive measures for us. You can install blast doors that slam shut, anti-personnel and anti-vehicle turrets, and systems that will slow down intruders. The goal is to buy time until reinforcements arrive. It's about turning your station into a stronghold, a fortress that can defend itself and rally an entire orc. And then the ultimate upgrade. Just when we thought we'd seen it all, they revealed the dry dock. This is like the crown jewel for any orc aiming for endgame activities. It's a massive addition at the back of the station, complete with its own observation room and crafting stations. There's a tram system that connects it to docking collars, creating a shipbuilding powerhouse. And yeah, they left us hanging a bit. What size ships can we build here? They didn't spell it out, but the hints were there, and the video made the answers obvious. Let's just say it's big. We are talking about constructing some serious ships, including the Bengal. Crazy. So guys, there it is, the complete vision for space stations. They are more than just a base. They are a home, a fortress, a launch point for entire campaigns. We can customize every square inch, from defenses to decor, and shape it all to fit our orcs' goals. This is our legacy in the verse, our own fortress among the stars. Of course, if you are going to build a Bengal, you need a lot of resources and it has to be done with an organization. But here's the thing, I strongly believe that what we saw during CitizenCon was targeted at showing organizations what they can do in the future. Orcs always ask for gameplay features and support to help with their strategies. And that's exactly what was showcased with those huge space stations. However, I also firmly believe there will be opportunities for solo players or small groups to have space stations in the game. Not everyone is in an orc. There are a lot of solo players out there who want to build space stations. They might need a little hub somewhere in space to store and protect their goods, have a faster way of jumping to different points, or connect different space stations with ground bases and even smaller bases. I strongly believe that Star Citizen, or rather 𝗏𝗏 games, will eventually give us smaller stations as well. This will allow solo players or small groups of friends to manage different things in a unique way, with different styles and designs of space stations. Yes, they started with those big ones, with huge modules and a crow's nest and all that, which is all fine and dandy. But many people won't be able to join those teams or big orcs. They simply don't want to. Some people prefer to play solo because they don't have the time to dedicate to orcs, gathering resources or coordinating with large groups. There are a lot of family-oriented players who have to juggle real-life responsibilities like taking care of kids, and they just want to relax for an hour or two in the evening. Right now, Star Citizen isn't really catering to these players. 𝗏𝗏 games needs to consider those who don't have the time to invest heavily in the game but still want to enjoy it. For many potential players, it doesn't make sense to spend 2 hours prepping just to play for an hour and then log off wondering what they actually accomplished that day in Star Citizen. Some players might just want a nice, smaller space station and a ground base where they can hang out, do a bit of mining, transport the stuff to their space station and store it there, hidden somewhere in space. Hopefully we can build these stations not just around certain planets and moons, but also hide them in asteroid belts, which would be a fantastic feature. I'm just throwing around all these ideas, and it's speculating, I know, which I didn't intend to do during my podcast, but here we are. CIG needs to think about those players as well. It's great to see those big space stations and the orc gameplay possibilities with large ground bases, but we can't forget about all the other potential players who haven't signed up yet, because of how time-consuming it is to get started in Star Citizen daily. These players might jump into the game if they know they can play a little differently. This ties into another topic: how to attract people to the game with stories, storylines, and side missions that don't take too long to complete. But anyway, back to space stations. It's a fantastic way to improve Star Citizen, and I'm all for it, but we need smaller stations too. And by the way, it's funny how things happen. As I mentioned in my first podcast, we talked about Dune Awakening and other games doing base building. After the announcement during CitizenCon about player base building and space stations, Frontier Developments, the makers of Elite Dangerous, announced the same thing. You'll be able to colonize planets and build space stations in Elite Dangerous, which is definitely a response to the announcement from 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 Games and Star Citizen. Players in Elite Dangerous have been asking for this for years, so it's great to see. And I say it again, competition between developers is important and beneficial for players. Elite Dangerous is a great game, but there are still many features players want that are missing. In many cases, I think Frontier is limited by their game engine. For example, players have been asking for ship interiors, but they don't want to implement it due to the engine limitations. However, ground-based colonization should be possible. We don't have all the details yet, but they said we'll hear more in the coming weeks or months. I'm keeping my ears open and getting information almost daily through Google Alerts about all these games, and I'll add Elite Dangerous to that list because I'm very interested in what they are planning. They announced colonization, which includes space stations and ground bases, and that's very cool. I think it's the right move. If you haven't played Elite Dangerous yet, give it a try. You need a game to take breaks from Star Citizen. I highly recommend it. It will help you balance your game time and compare a finished game to a work in progress like Star Citizen. Many people forget that Star Citizen is not a finished game. It's basically just a test. It's always good to go back to Elite Dangerous or start playing it. It's very affordable and they often have sales on Steam for Elite Dangerous and the 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 expansion, which is very important. If you don't have 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏, just buying Elite Dangerous like I did on PlayStation is kind of useless. You need to try the ground missions, they are awesome. Plus exploration and exobiology can earn you millions. 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 is important, so don't be cheap. If you buy Elite Dangerous, get 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 as well. They are doing a lot of stuff now, with new ships coming out every quarter. They've also changed their funding model to sell ships for real money. Though not on the same scale as Star Citizen. It's much cheaper, but the ships don't have interiors, don't forget that. So that's about space stations in Star Citizen. It's a great topic, and I hope we hear more about it soon. 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 is working hard on all these things. We've seen lots of buildings, stations, modules, bases, and structures already in Greybox. I'm pretty sure that we might not see space stations in the next year, but in the next 12 months we could see the first iteration of base building, at least as a test, maybe in Pyro, in a PDU test or something like that. Lorville Stories is a podcast where we dive deep into the lives, innovations and secrets of the galaxy's most influential figures. Now, if you've been following the buzz around Consolidated Outland, you all know that they've been working on something big. Something that's about to change how we think about exploration and base building forever. That's right, I'm talking about the Pioneer. It's been years in the making, with plenty of rumors and speculation along the way, but today we finally get answers. So I actually called Silas Koerner, CEO of Consolidated Outland, to chat about the Pioneer's development, what it can do, and when we might actually see it out in the wild. Silas had some fascinating insights to share, and let's just say, if you're an explorer or a builder, you want to listen closely. Alright, without further ado, here's my conversation with the man himself, Silas Koerner. Let's jump in. Hello, Mr. Koerner. It is good to talk to you again. How have you been?
Jack, always a pleasure. I've been well, thank you. Busy, but that's how it is in this industry. We're pushing boundaries, so there's always something going on.
How is business coming along now that jump points are finally open and trade routes in several systems have been reactivated?
It's been transformative. The reactivation of trade routes has given us opportunities we couldn't fully explore before. It's not just about reaching new markets. It's about the resurgence of exploration and discovery, which aligns perfectly with Consolidated Outland's vision. It's exciting to see things really moving forward.
We talked about the Pioneer, I think, 2 years ago. It's been quite some time. It was October 2952, I think. You guys had all kinds of supply issues and design difficulties. Could you resolve some of them?
You're right. We did run into our fair share of challenges with the Pioneer. Base building turned out to be a bigger puzzle than expected. Initially, we had this concept of fabricating structures directly on the ship and then just dropping them onto the surface. But as we delved deeper, that approach turned out to be impractical, especially with the rising costs and the complexity it added to the design. We had to reconceptualize a few things, but now we're confident we've found a more streamlined, efficient method. It's been a journey, but we're getting there.
Fantastic. Will the Pioneer be used primarily on land, or is it possible to use the Pioneer in space as well? I know that many moderate-sized organizations are looking for a solution to build space stations as strategic points for their operations.
That's a good question. While the Pioneer is ideally designed for planetary deployment, we've ensured that its capabilities could be adapted for operations in space. The Pioneer is really about flexibility, serving as a mobile base and construction platform. So, whether you're building on a moon's surface or in the middle of space, it's got what you need. And yes, we've seen a lot of interest from organizations looking to set up space stations as operational hubs.
That sounds very promising. What other features of the Pioneer could you name right now off the top of your head?
Absolutely. Beyond its core building capabilities, the Pioneer now has a med bay, dedicated cargo space with a 1,000 SCU capacity, and a fabrication control room where operators can manage large-scale construction projects. There's a cargo lift to simplify loading and unloading, a small landing pad that integrates directly into the ship, and even integrated resource extractors in the landing gear. It's really designed to be a self-sufficient mobile base, fully equipped for long-term operations.
Wow, amazing. So, of course, here's the big question. What do you think? When is the Pioneer being delivered? Can you tell us?
Delivery timelines are always tricky, but I can say we're closer than we've ever been. We're actively working on it, with production starting soon. I can't give a specific date, but rest assured, it's high on our list. Once it's out, I think it'll make a significant impact on how people approach base building and exploration.
Great. Well, thank you for the interview. I really appreciate it. I think these are exciting times, and I can't wait to see the Pioneer in action.
My pleasure, Jack. It's always a thrill to share what we're working on. And trust me, the Pioneer will be worth the wait. We're just as excited as you are.
So, this was my interview with Silas Koerner, CEO of Consolidated Outland, makers of the Pioneer, and of course some other ships, which we didn't really mention today, but maybe in another show. Anyway, folks, that wraps up another episode of Lorville Stories. We hope you enjoyed our journey through the exciting developments in Star Citizen, from those awe-inspiring space stations to the game-changing Pioneer. It's amazing to see just how much potential there is out there in the verse for all of us, whether you're part of a big organization or flying solo. Huge shout out to Silas Koerner for joining us and sharing his incredible insights, and of course a big thank you to all of you for tuning in. Your passion is what keeps this community thriving and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next deep dive into the lives and innovations that are shaping our galaxy. Until next time, keep dreaming big, keep exploring, and keep crafting your own legacy out there among the stars. Safe travels, and we'll catch you in the verse.